Bam! No more mute. What is up, everybody? My name is Graham Elwood. You're watching the Bitcoin Vigilante Special Election Update. Haven't done one of these in a while. So Holly Horn is our moderator. Holly, good to see you. I know you live in New York, so it's real for you. Here is the what is going on. This is from the CBS News Live election update. More than 2 million people have cast votes in New York's mayoral election. Let me see if I can share this screen. Hold on a sec here. Mamdani is a sizable lead, 51% of the vote. Cuomo's what, 39? Sorry, I keep trying to share this thing. Yes, we are just starting. Welcome. My name is Graham Elwood. You're watching the Bitcoin Vigilante live stream. Like, share, subscribe. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let me make sure. No, we're in the wrong speed. All right, that should fix it. That should make it a touch better. Wendy's in the chat. Chris Garrett is in the chat. Hello. Derek, hi everybody. Kevin, say hello. I just wanted to share. I'm just trying to get the screen up there. Like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, this has been having some issues with StreamYard where I keep trying to share a screen and it just won't do it. There's ways to support the show there, and of course there. Bitcoin price is on sale. It's just dropped below 100,000. People think, oh, it's crashing. It's funny when people say that. They always do that. There's a video of a guy saying back in 2013, he was giving a talk at some financial conference about why Bitcoin was the future of money, and Bitcoin had just crashed from $30 to $3 a coin. Oh man. And there was people going, oh dude, I bought the peak at $30 a coin. I blew it. I should have just waited when it dropped to $3 a coin. I would, let the Yakuza cut off one of my pinkies to go back and buy Bitcoin at $30 a coin. Like, if any of you have a time machine, please, send it my way, or at least let me use it once, and I'll just go back and buy Bitcoin at $30 a coin. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Serving the blue wave tonight. Yeah. I don't know what StreamYard, by and large has been a pretty great platform. But it's just lately, and I don't know if it's StreamYard is the issue or my computer's getting old. I have a computer that's probably 4 or 5 years old, which is like in computer years, that's like 98 or whatever. So give me a sec. I'll be right back. What's up? All right, we got to see if we can find a solution. Sorry. He's going to the Guardian's website. Maybe that'll work better. All right, let's try. What would that be in Doge years? That's funny. You're funny. All right, this has got to work. Man, it keeps not working. This is, I keep trying to do this. This is a maddening problem. Drinking some nice oolong tea. Wow, I don't know. I just want to put these results on the screen. Keep going. You'll get it. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. From what I'm seeing, they have not announced any winners yet. The New York polls closed about 15 minutes ago. They say most are going to show towards midnight. The latest poll or rejection results, sorry. It showed Mamdani with a 51% of the votes, Cuomo with 39%, and Curtis Silver with, looks like 8%. So yeah, usually they say it might take until midnight or longer to count them. But if he's got this sizable of a lead, well, they'll New York's pretty old school and corrupt, so they'll wait. They'll wait a long time. And when they declare him the winner, which he's ahead this much in the polls, and it was the highest voter turnout in 56 years in New York. highest voter turnout in 56 years. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Starting to wear readers more. Then you get the glare. You get the glare in the thing. You see my ring light. All right, let's see if we can find. I know what we're going to do. I found a workaround that I think is going to be pretty effective. A workaround. All right. Let's try this way. There we go. All right. Oh, I got to wear these anyway. They won't declare winner until everyone is asleep. So here's what's been happening thus far. Abigail Spanberger looks like she's going to be the governor of Virginia, become the first female governor. They projected her to be the winner. So let's go to New York City, though. Schumer, this is what Chuck Schumer refuses to reveal who he voted for in New York City. Senator Alex Padilla says he won't run for California governor in 2026. Pope Leo calls for deep reflection. Let's go through all of this. Trump renominates Musk, ally, to lead NASA. Polls close in Virginia. Springer wins, projected by AP. Polls close in a slate of states with closely watched races, including New York and New Jersey. All right, let's go to the live updates. Polls have officially closed in New York City. Turnout was high. The New York City Board of Elections is reporting New Yorkers have cast more than 2 million ballots for the first time in more than half a century. Where is the, like, show me the results. All right. 2 million votes for the first time since 1969. If you are online by 9 p.m., you will be allowed to vote. The lieutenant governor race in Virginia was Ghazala Hashami, becoming the first Muslim American woman elected to statewide office in the U.S. She's a Democrat, flipped a seat currently held by Republican Winsome Earl Sears. All right. So that's what we have thus far. I voted by mail. They found a defect, outer envelope unsealed. I sent a cure letter so they count it. Butch Ware in California, right on. Omar Fatish in Minneapolis. Yeah, let's see what other nationwide results we've got. The outgoing mayor, Eric Adams, a Republican, cast his vote for Andrew Cuomo at an elementary school in Brooklyn. My vote is clearly for Governor Cuomo. We can't go backwards. This city's not a socialist city. Yeah, it's a capitalist nightmare. It's late stage capitalism. And I don't know what other races are happening right now. Why was this? Trump is shooting at gunboats. I'm just showing us the same business. All right, let's go to So New York had 9 days of early voting, which ended on November 2nd. An analysis of early voting data by the city, a local news outlet in New York, found that more than 732,000 early votes were cast, 65% of the total votes cast in the entire 2021 mayoral race. That's big. Mamdani, who's 34, Cuomo, who's 67, Curtis Silva, who's 71. Ever since his victory in the Democratic primary, Mamdani has been the clear favorite to win. Polls aggregated by the New York Times have Mamdani anywhere from 5 to 25 points ahead of his opponents. The polls were open today from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. I always vote by mail personally. If your state has it, I always recommend doing that. Exit polls showing Mamdani with 51.52% of the votes, Andrew Cuomo with 39.67%, and Curtis Silva with just over 8%. Calling it for Mamdani, the trend is pretty much irreversible. Vive la France. Yeah, well, the thing that's going to be interesting to see here is will they try to screw him over? And since he's winning overwhelmingly, they can't. I don't think they can say, "Oh, it was a close race and he lost," because the numbers are pretty overwhelming. And when you have early voting like that, that means a lot of people are like voting for this guy, and young people really support him. And a lot of people in New York support him. I mean, there was a new poll out too. You know, they tried to paint him as an anti-Semite and all this other stuff, and people are just kind of done with it. 61% of American Jews are against what Israel is doing. 61%. That's a pretty significant number. So, and I follow a lot of these Bitcoin guys, and many of them are like Bitcoin rich guys. And they're all like, oh, socialism. And several of them like, I'm leaving New York if Mamdani wins. Wow, you sound just like the liberals who said, I'm leaving America if Trump wins. Are you billionaires going to go move in with Rosie O'Donnell in Ireland? Is that where you guys are going? Which is pretty socialist. Ireland's pretty socialist. Oh, God. It's like the problems of New York City are from late stage capitalism. It's from failed neoliberal centrist policies. And it's a city where there's a handful of rich people who get whatever they want. And this young guy just cooked this dude on CNN. This older guy was like, these people, blah, 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 whatever, giving some old guy socialism is bad speech. And this dude goes, you know why so many people are resonating with Mamdani? Because they're tired of being lectured on CNN. And he points to people wearing Rolexes on CNN. And the guy had a Rolex, and he was just like, he had nothing to say to that. Nothing to say to that. And it's kind of great. It's kind of great. And, you know, I'm a Bitcoin leftist, which is like the most unicorn of unicorns. I'm just like, it's crazy. So socialism only shows up when capitalism is so out of control. This is what happens. When people can't afford to feed themselves and pay their bills, and they're working it's like work harder, working 2 jobs, and you still can't pay your rent because a bunch of rich hedge funds have bought up all of the real estate since the 2008 housing crash. And people can't afford rent. So but the rich don't understand this. The rich just sit there and they say all this, and they're fed, and they spew this nonsense. I'm a self-made billionaire. There's no such thing. You cook the book somehow. Can you work hard in America and create a business and become a millionaire legally, honestly, ethically? Yeah, yes, you can. To become a billionaire, you have to be corrupt, with few exceptions. Now, maybe like whatever, J.K. Rowling wrote a bunch of books that just completely blew up. People loved it. Okay. You know, whatever. Michael Jordan, I don't know if he's a billionaire, but if he is, he's the greatest basketball player of all time. And so people just, his putting his name on shoes and stuff is going to make you a lot of money. Okay, great. Or maybe you worked hard and made a decent amount of money, a 6 or 7 figure salary, and you invested it really well, and that turned you into a billionaire. Okay, great. But most billionaires, if you go dig deep, Bill Gates, Elon, they all stole their ideas. They all stole people's ideas. They're not like, they always pitch themselves as the smartest guy in the room, and they steal people's ideas. They steal people's ideas. Let's go back to any live updates from the New York. I don't think there's anything new. No, nothing new. Mike Sherrill won the New Jersey governor's race. Yeah. Just curious, what's the difference between capitalism and economic cannibalism? Not much. Yeah, this is what late stage capitalism looks like. And then to listen to conservatives talk, or just people in general, socialism, most Americans don't even understand what actual like democratic socialism is. They still think, especially if it's a baby boomer rich guy, they hear that word and they just think the Soviet Union's going to tell you what factory to work in. If that's, I'm leaving. The communists are taking. They're still remembering like stop, drop, and cover when they were in grade school, because the Soviets were going to drop a bomb on our heads or whatever. And democratic socialism is already creeped its way into America in the form of the police department and fire department and parks and schools and libraries and street cleaning and trash pickup and snow plows. And oh man, it's just everywhere you turn, the pinkos have taken over. But these rich guys, if they had it their way, they would love a for-profit fire department. They would love it. They pay zero taxes and they just have their own personal fire department, and working class neighborhoods burn to the ground because you couldn't afford to hire a firefighter. Imagine if we did firefighting the way we did our current medical system. Your house is on fire, you call the fire department and they show up and they go, yeah, it's going to be about 30 to 40 grand to put that fire out. So unless you have firefighters insurance or you want to pay cash, we're not putting it out. Late stage capitalism, when stealth camping, camping videos get 5 million views. Yeah. Hello, reflect the sun. Yeah, those socialist snowplows are coming this winter. If Mamdani wins, he's going to have socialist snowplows plowing the streets. It's funny too. Like everyone's like, oh, he wants free buses for everybody. And he talks about the $956 million in tax breaks that Cuomo gave Elon Musk. He goes, it would take less than that for everybody to have free public transportation. Oh, man. It's just follow the money. Can follow the money? I just say follow the money. If socialism was bad, the numbers would show it. Everyone's like, capitalism is so great. And then in the same breath, they're like, oh, there's too many homeless people. And there's all these layoffs happening. What are you supposed to do? AI's taking your job. Oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's exhausting to live in a country where people don't even understand socialism. People who claim to be, but even some lefties. I remember one time just posting a video on vacation or posting a clip or something, and they were like, you so-called leftists going on vacation? What? Democratic socialism doesn't mean you never go on vacation. It doesn't mean you can't have a business that runs a profit. You can have a profitable business. Just a bulk of the profits go back to the workers. The workers own the means of production. They don't just get a paycheck, they own a piece of the company, which actually always traditionally, if you look at the numbers, makes better employees. Government-run healthcare. Medicare for all is not government-run healthcare. It's government billing. Medicare for all is currently in place. And here's how it works. You know who explains to me? One of my martial arts instructors, who's in his 80s. He goes, Graham, this is how it works. I go to whatever doctor I choose. And he's in LA, and he's like, I go to this guy over here, this hospital near me. Really nice one. I think it was either UCLA Medical or whatever. And maybe Kaiser anyway. And he says, I get this procedure, and they send a bill that says, let's say it's going to be $2,500. The government steps in and says, it's not going to be $2,500. It's going to be $700. And the doctor in the hospital facility, whatever, has to pay the lower rate. That's why they're so against it. That's why they say this crap like, oh, it's going to be the Soviet Union doctors and there's only going to be one doctor and you're going to wait in line for 5 hours and it's going to kill your grandmother and all this nonsense. Because it's just going to, right now they're price gouging. America has very, very good health care. We've got good doctors and good facilities and yep, but it's the most expensive in the world because we're being gouged. Because these people have bought lobbyist groups and politicians. So these politicians go on and say, how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? And all this crazy nonsense. Medicare for all is just taking current Medicare and just giving it to everybody, which is what Biden should have done the minute he became president during COVID, during a global health crisis. When he was sworn in, it was a national emergency. It was a national emergency under Trump. It was a national emergency under Biden. I mean, is there good evidence of a lobby run anything? No. Yeah, exactly. Great question. Yeah, there is no. The answer is no. There is no good example of the lobby groups running anything because the lobby groups do not care about the American people. They only care about protecting their business. And usually it's a multi-billion-dollar business or industry, and therefore they have very deep pockets to pay for whatever politicians they want. And they can run whatever just lies and nonsense campaigns out there. Yeah, Sicko is a very good movie. You want to look at that. But you want to see how any lobby group works. Watch the documentary Fed Up. It's how it shows how the sugar lobby bought politicians and have changed the wording on stuff. And if you go look at the back of I'll show you right now. So if you watch this is how lobby groups work. This is how they can control information. Let me show you this, okay? Here is a bag of just roasted almonds, Nut Nature roasted almonds, right? The ingredients, almonds. That's it, okay? So now, I'm in Thailand, so a lot of this is in Thai, but this is the same thing you find on the back of any product in America as well, right? The light makes it kind of glaring. So if you go to your cupboard right now, and get anything that has one of these on there. And what you're going to see is the grams of fat. Okay, it says grams of fat. This one has 15 grams of fat per serving size. And then over here to the far right is the recommended daily allowance. And it'll say 23%. Okay, cholesterol, 0%. Protein, okay, total carbohydrates, 2%. Sugars, no daily percentage. Look at that. No daily percentage. Why is that empty right there? Why? That's the sugar lobby did that. Because in a juice or anything where they pump a bunch of extra sugar in it, they don't want the American people to see, oh, it's 150% of my daily allowance of sugar. It's 200%. Go watch some videos on what creates body fat. When the body eats sugar, insulin is created, and insulin stays on the body and creates fat. I'm definitely paraphrasing more detailed science, but look it up yourself. Go pick something out of your cupboard right now and go see that. That's how that's how a lobby organization works. They can just hide information from us. They can just say, nope, we just want to have that removed. So they have to put the amount of grams in there. They can't lie about that, but they could just not say, they're not lying. See how they find these little loopholes? They're not lying. That's insane, man. That is insane. They get to do that because they have a lot of money and deceive the American people. Why do we have an obesity epidemic? That's why. And it's also that they can just make money. And if they're willing to do that with sugar, you don't think they're willing to do that with oil? With burning of fossil fuels? APAC? I mean, look at it. Look at it. I always say follow the money. God is in the numbers. That's a saying I like saying. The truth is in the numbers. God, truth, the universe, whatever you want to call it, the truth is in the numbers. Numbers don't lie. 2 + 2 is 4, and 4 is neither angry nor happy that 2 + 2 created it. 4 is not sitting there going, man, it's better when I'm created from 3 + 1. 4 is just 4. Go look right now. Go to your cupboard right now and look right now. How do we get big sugar, big agriculture, big oil, etc., when we supposedly have antitrust laws? Oh, well. I see Michael Burry has put on a very large short position on NVIDIA and Palantir. Oh, wow. Pay attention to that. Yeah, we do have kings, 900 of them. They're called billionaires. Yeah. Nice workaround. How are companies buying up public water reserves? Exactly. And then these guys spend a lot of money and they have big money to spend on social media accounts to put your crap out there. And gullible, uninformed Americans go, yeah, socialism is bad, even though it's a thing that would help them. We got to get rid of all these federal jobs. Okay. How come we're not cutting any jobs in the Pentagon? Oh, because of terrorists. We're under attack from everybody. Really? Couldn't be that we're creating all the problems. Just constantly, it's everywhere you go in America. It's everywhere you go. And every country has its own propaganda. But the American kind is so sophisticated. I mean, it's crazy. And the media is complicit in it because how do they co-opt the media? That's why I don't call it fake news or whatever. That's Trump's crybaby term because he's a little crybaby. Jimmy Kimmel made fun of me. I'm pulling him off the air. It's funny that the conservatives say all the woke liberals are such crybabies, and they're just as much, if not bigger, crybabies. But the media is complicit in this because, again, follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. Who buys ad time on the news? Those channels are supported by big corporations and sponsors. And, Bill Gates and Elon Musk spend a lot of ad dollars and marketing money so that they get then favorable interviews on those channels. Look, if somebody just gave me a couple of $1 million, if I had $10 million in cash, $20 million in cash, let's just count 10 million, which is a lot of money, but in some ways it isn't. It isn't. I could spend a bunch of money and get 1 million followers on Instagram. I could get a bunch of YouTube channels with huge followings. I could have a marketing team pushing my clips out. I could do all this stuff. And I could go on the road and sell a bunch more tickets and sell out comedy clubs and say, look how popular I am. If somebody just got behind me financially, if somebody just backed me financially. But the people who have the money to back me are the people that I'm the most critical of. There are some rich people out there that actually care and they like giving their money away. They feel so much better. Like, yeah, I could buy another luxury car, but I feel so much better when I help people. none of them ever reached out to me and said, hey, Graham, I'd love to back you on your projects and put your movies and TV shows out there. But I'm a dangerous message because I don't really go along. I'm not deliberately contrarian, but no one sees the CO2 that is emitted either. 40 to 50 billion tons a year are fossil fuels, about the weight of 3 F-150s per person. Of course, the 1% use about 60% of that, as I understand it. Yeah. Well-regulated corporations are evil. Yeah. Just finished watching Andor and watch Rogue One. How do we organize a group to rebel? It seems we need people with power. Bernie tells the armor to funnel the money it takes. Well, Tulsi is very much compromised. She jumped on the Trump terrain. She'll just go wherever the money is. AOC has pretty been Bernie, I don't, Omar, maybe. Rashida Tlaib for sure, maybe. I mean, but you ask a great question. You ask a great question. I don't know that I don't think it's those people. We got to organize regular people, and we need to organize a general strike. And unfortunately, people need like a leader to follow. And we don't have any real leaders. Mamdani could be that. My biggest fear is he's going to win, but the Democratic Party will co-opt him. That's my biggest fear. They'll crush him so hard or make it so hard for him to do anything that he'll start making this little deal and that little deal, just like AOC. Remember when AOC got elected in 2018? Remember the midterms? We're going to get Trump. We're going to take over. The Dems, progressive Dems are going to take over. And there was so much promise when she got elected. I remember feeling very hopeful when she got elected. I remember watching her live tweet the freshman congressional orientation. And she kept tweeting, why are we only hearing from lobby groups? How come we're not hearing from any labor organizations? She was calling out the Democratic Party from within. Got into a Twitter fight with Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, who's retiring finally. Nancy Pelosi, who has been doing insider trading since the day she's been in office. Like everybody else, like Leslie Graham, like all of them. Go to Capital Trades and you'll see. But AOC, within 18 months, it was 18 months. She was Mama Bear Pelosi and wouldn't call out the Democratic Party, wouldn't speak out about, look, she was happy to be at the Democratic convention while Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib were outside of the convention because they weren't allowed to speak. Because AOC at the end of the day just goes for power. Same with Tulsi, and Bernie is spineless. I hate saying this because those were the big hope. Those three were the big hope 7 years ago. No. Bernie's spineless, and AOC and Tulsi are just political opportunists. Tulsi will just go with wherever she thinks. She saw things were leaning Trump's favor. She said, yeah, I love Trump. And if things start going more Democratic socialist with Mamdani winning, suddenly Tulsi's going to show up with some sort of DSA type thing. She just goes wherever the wind blows. She's not to be trusted. We need real leaders, and I don't know that we have them, because when real leaders get crushed. But we need, this Mamdani winning, I don't know. Maybe it'll spur more people to wake up and say, we're voting Democratic Socialist. And Democrats that don't run on those types of platforms, that don't, because if Democrats take a bunch of seats, governor, whatever, mayor, today, that's the fallout. Let's just say that looks like it's leaning that way. And a bunch of Republicans who backed, and Trump, anyone who is backed by Trump loses. That'll be an indictment of Trump, right? That'll say we're done with Trump. But if the Democrats don't do anything with it, that's what happened when Biden won in 2020. Everyone's dancing in the streets. And what did I say on this show? What did myself and Lee Camp and everybody, Abby Martin, what did we all say? Dave Anthony, Ron Placone, what did we all say? It'll be 4 years of Biden doing nothing. He'll do nothing. He won't pass any really effective legislation. And 4 years later, we'll have a better, either a worse version of Trump or of just a more better. Trump will be more Trumpy. What did we get? What did we get? And liberals don't want to hear that. They just say, just get it. You know, when I hear liberals say, we need to take back the House, I go, who's we? The Democratic Party? The one under Biden? That Biden signed more drilling permits on public lands than Trump did. That's a fact. The Democratic Party that allowed Obama to drop more bombs than Bush, that Democratic Party? The Biden and Harris Democratic Party that was funding a genocide and wouldn't allow Rashida Tlaib to speak at their own convention. And Rashida Tlaib won last year with just under 70% of the vote in Michigan, which lost to Trump. So if it's just a yay, this is an indictment against Trump, but you don't pass any policy. Why people are excited for Mamdani, they think he's going to change. If Mamdani gets in office and makes New York better and improves the day-to-day lives of New Yorkers, he won't lose. That's the only way but the Democratic Party ultimately, that's why the Democratic Party is stacked up against him. That's why there's Democrats backing Cuomo. So there needs to be a movement outside of that party. I don't know what it is. I mean, labor movements are big, but I mean, look what ICE is doing. People are trying to resist ICE, and it's funny, like Bitcoiners, I always got to come because I'm in these spaces with like very hard leftists and then right wingers. The Bitcoin space is a largely center right and libertarian space, and there's definitely some hard right people in the space. And they're like, I don't want the government telling me what to do, and they're like, okay, or not speaking out against ICE raids, and I go, you're a Bitcoiner? Who's to say Trump or whomever could just say, go send ICE to kick in the door and grab your cold wallet or whatever. We're going to seize your Bitcoin. We're going to throw you in prison until you give us your Bitcoin. So if you're okay with what ICE is doing and you're a big Bitcoiner, you don't understand, then you're a hypocrite. Because most Bitcoiners that I know are against, they don't like government. They don't like governments telling them what to do. That's why they got into Bitcoin. This is where the Bitcoiners and the left should unite, but they don't. Bitcoin price is at 100K right now. It's on sale. It even dipped below for a second. If you can get Bitcoin under 100K, it's a huge deal. If you can get it 100, 105, it's a huge deal. It'll be at 150 by the beginning of the year. Trust me. Trust me. I've called this in the past. 3 years ago, 2022, beginning of 23, Bitcoin was about 25K a coin. I said, it's on sale. It's going to at least double in the next year or two. I was wrong. It quadrupled. So I'm not 100% right, but because they want to control everything, man. And so duopoly equals criminals. Mamdani will capitulate to the neocon liberal elite. Unfortunately, Anna, you're probably right, you know. What'd we get? Old Trump on steroids. I know. Push him left, they said. Yeah, I know. We've all heard this. Yeah. Can I talk about Proposition 50? You know, there's some controversy with that. And I've been following the Mamdani thing more than I've been following Prop 50. I appreciate that question, but I don't want to fully weigh in on it yet until I'm better informed. Because Republicans are really against it, so that makes me like want to support it. But then the fact that Newsom's really in favor of it makes me go, ugh. So I don't want to just say definitively yes or no on this until I get more information, because it just seems maybe we need it, maybe, but when Newsom is in favor of it, I'm leery. When the Republicans are against it, I'm like, oh, this must be good. If the Republicans really hate it, then it must be good. If both parties hate it, then I know it's good. Then I know it's great. Both parties. That's why both parties hated Mamdani. That's why I was like, this guy's got my vote. Boom. Trump hated him. Kristen Gillibrand called him a jihadist. Then he's my guy. I wish I could move to New York and vote for him. But yeah, I don't want to weigh in on that until I know, because until I have more details on it or speak to someone that's really unpacked it. And I admittedly haven't spent that much time on it. So it's a great question, though. But all right, guys, we're going to check back in real quick. I don't think we're going to get any election results just now. I think it's going to be, I think we're still just, oh. So here's what we've got. New York City election results. He is coming in. Let me put on the. Okay, this is updated. Now they're actually have counted votes. So Mamdani has gotten 987,000 votes, which is just over 50.5%. Andrew Cuomo is 810,000 votes, which is 41%. And Silva got 7%. Okay, we're getting some real results now. They're actually released votes. So they said over 2 million people have voted. So this is right now, we're at 1.8, 1.9. So it sounds like there's still a couple 100,000 votes. Wow. Look at the votes by share. Mamdani got the Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn. Only Staten Island voted for Cuomo. Brooklyn, 58% of Brooklyn voted for Mamdani, 37% for Cuomo. Manhattan, 53% of people in Manhattan, 43% for Cuomo. Queens was 47%, 42. Bronx was 51-40. Staten Island was 56% for Cuomo. Okay. Well, now we got some real numbers. Well, they're declaring a win. They're declaring him the winner. They're declaring Mamdani the winner. Wow. Okay. Mamdani wins New York mayoral election. Live updates. Democratic Socialist becomes city's first Muslim mayor. This is for real. Zohan Mamdani will be the 111th mayor of New York City, defeating former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican candidate Curtis Silva, and making history as the city's first Muslim mayor at age 34, its youngest in more than a century. His victory marks a stunning rise from a little-known state lawmaker to leader of the nation's biggest city. Mamdani has held a steady lead in the race since he pulled out a shock upset over Cuomo, the former three-term governor, in June's Democratic primary. Current Mayor Eric Adams, who has campaigned for a second term as an independent, dropped out of the race in September. He dropped out. This is when the Republicans and Democrats get together. That's when you know it's bad. Republican mayoral candidate Silva concedes to Mamdani in fiery speech. Republican candidate and founder of the Guardian Angels, we're not only organizing, but we're mobilizing. We will become the mayor. We will become the mayor-elect and his supporters' worst enemies. Wow, what a dick. Some of the most powerful people in the world mobilize against his candidacy. Wow, what an asshole. What a dick. Mamdani won and you can't handle it. Wow, this is big. All right. They had the bombing threats in New York, so he lost. That's how they rig machines. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got to announce this. We got to watch this on our show, man. This is cool. All right. You know, there's a little hope in the world. Mamdani wins because Shama Sawant, but Silva is not lying. There's a lot of powerful people that want to stop this guy. So they're going to try to block him any way they can. And I bet you it's revealed that Silva's probably got some, he's a guardian angel, but he says stuff like that. He's probably taking money from people. He's probably corrupt. I mean, if he's one of the two parties, he's a Republican, so he's corrupt. Cuomo was a Democrat. He's corrupt. Look how hard they try to beat this guy. Look how hard. Cuomo loses in the primary, becomes an independent to try to beat this guy. Eric Adams steps down. We got to beat this guy. We got to beat this guy. And you still lost because you guys, Eric Adams is bought and paid for. Cuomo is bought and paid for. Silva, if you're in the Republican Party, you're bought and paid for. And you lost. That's kind of awesome. Are all these billionaires going to move to Ireland with Rosie O'Donnell? All these billionaires, I'm leaving New York. Good. We could use your apartments. You got to give up your penthouse and let a family of 4 live in there now. How's that sound? Do you know if your family member is taken by ICE, you can call 911. Maybe they don't have the authority to release them. Advice to make a police report in case they're not ICE. Boy, I don't know, Jenna. That's a great question. Keep an eye out for Omar Fatia too. He will have an uphill battle in office when the factions will fight him all the way. Yes. Here's what Mamdani needs to do. What Mamdani needs to do now that he's won, they're going to fight him. Everyone, Republican, Democrat, is going to fight him. He really has to implore the people and the voters of New York City that voted for Mamdani. They have to be vigilant and pay attention. What happens often in American politics, some actual lefty that's going to do some good wins and everybody goes back to sleep. I know it's a lot of work because you got your day-to-day life, you got your job and your kids and everything else you got to deal with, but everyone's got to pay attention. And whenever the two parties and the Democrats are going to try to crush him and because the Democrats control Manhattan. They control Manhattan. So, and Cuomo and Silva are going to do everything they can to undermine him. And Eric Adams, they're all going to line up to try to undermine his, I'm going to fight. I'm going to be your worst enemy. Yeah. When you get sworn in, I would investigate Silva, make sure he's not a criminal. So I would, the people of New York that voted for him, you have to hold all of these other politicians that are in office accountable when they try to stop Mamdani from doing what you want to do. You got to hold all of them accountable. You have to hold all of them accountable. That's what it's going to take. Because if Mamdani's just all on his own, then they'll crush him. But you got to, the people did this. Cautiously optimistic for this victory. Good for him. And the left will know if he's a sellout very soon, given AOC and the squad. Now Portland and Seattle need some true progressives. Yep. I have the hardest issue with the Democrat sheep. Yep. All right, guys, that's our show. Thank you so much. This was awesome. Yeah, Mamdani won. Right on. We got to celebrate that together. So support the show, like, share, subscribe, put it on your social media. Of course, donate any way you can. Donations help. I've dropped a bunch of videos on my Bitcoin Hollywood of traveling. I was in the Philippines earlier this year. That's why somebody thought I'm still there. But I'm dropping all these cool videos on Bitcoin Hollywood. Bitcoin Hollywood's I'm going to talk Bitcoin, but I'm also going to my 70s cop short film, Hello Junkie, is up there. The Anything Can Happen game show is up. There's going to be entertainment stuff. There's going to be travel. There's going to be food. So don't let the Bitcoin thing scare you off. So check it out. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe. You guys have been awesome. Thank you, Holly Horn, our moderator, everybody in the chat. I really appreciate you supporting the show. Of course, you can become a member, Patreon, and Rockfin and all that stuff. So thank you for watching.